Today, I will do two things. Firstly, I will provide update on the oral investigations we've been conducting and the oral-related prosecutions that have been filed so far. Second, you would recall that on March 20th, 2025, when I announced the Kobna Adubohin investigation, I referred to an ongoing investigation as the Rumble in the Jungle. The reference was to the buffer stock criminal investigation. I will this morning announce the conclusion of investigations into the elaborate criminal enterprise that started in 2018 after the appointment of Hanan Abdul Wahab as Chief Executive Officer of the Buffer Stock Company. Ladies and gentlemen, as far as the oral investigations are concerned, the status report is as follows. Out of the report of the oral committee submitted to my office, we instructed the National Intelligence Bureau in March 2025 to conduct investigations into cases of suspected acts of theft and graft by public officials and their allies in the private sector. The investigations were necessary because the oral committee reports did not contain the evidence required to prove the guilt of the suspects in court beyond reasonable doubt. It is always important to remember that the oral committee was tasked by His Excellency the President to receive complaints of looting of state resources, and complaints do not constitute irrefutable evidence of criminality. Our investigators have diligently concluded investigations in the following cases: the SkyTrain, National Service Ghost Name Scandal, District Road Improvement Project, or DRIP, National Lotteries, Palgu Multipurpose Dam, SML, Frontier Healthcare Services, Free Wi-Fi, National Ambulance, Boankra Integrated Inland Logistics Terminal, Sputnik V vaccines case, and the land looting cases. In the case of the land looting cases, 8 have been completed, and then 1 is outstanding. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a sense of what pertains. When the dockets are brought to my office, and the latest set of dockets were brought 2 weeks ago, I go through them diligently with the prosecution staff, the attorneys in the prosecution division, and other lawyers we work with, and then we can build a case and advise the investigators as to what to do when we find loopholes that may be exploited by defense attorneys. So I want to give 2 examples. In the case of the Boankra Integrated Inland Logistics Terminal, the report has been returned to my office. We have done our reading of the report and analysis of it, and we've come to the conclusion that there is a need for us to have a value for money audit, because that is the only way by which we'll determine the extent to which there was malfeasance relating to the finances of the project. But so far, nothing has been discovered that should, cause us to take action in court in terms of criminality. I'll give another example. The District Road Improvement Project, which is DRIP. We did the investigation. The preliminary report was returned to my office. I studied it. I gave directions as to what to do. And the investigators have went back to do their work. And they came back with a report that I can tell you has, pinpointed certain acts of malfeasance that we are working on. So, for instance, in the case of DRIP, they were overpaid. That is, JA Plant Pool was overpaid by $2 million. The contract sum was 176 million United States of American dollars. On the face of the contract, that is the sum that was stated. When we examined the invoices of payments, it was 178 million that was paid. So right away, there was a difference of $2 million. So we asked that $2 million be paid back by JA Plant Pool. We also realized that 190 pieces of equipment were added and cleared without payment of tax. In other words, they were added to the list as if they were tax exempt. I asked the investigators to go back, look at the HS code, and for those of you HS code is a harmonized code that the customs officers use to determine the classification and taxes applicable to goods. When they did the analysis following the HS code, it came out that 38.7 million Ghana cedis of taxes were evaded. So in respect of the two sums, that is the $2 million, JFH Plant Pool has been asked, we have made a demand on them to pay that money. Then when it comes to the taxes, we have asked GRA, because under the tax laws, it is GRA that can make a demand for the payment of the taxes. So we've asked that GRA should make a demand for the 38.7 million. Now that is our investigators' assessment. GRA may come out with a different figure because they are the tax experts. So our investigators' figure may be confirmed or even adjusted upwards depending on what the GRA says. Now when it comes to the issue of over-invoicing, we noticed that they were over-invoiced by between, that is the equipment, the drip equipment were over-invoiced by between 100 to 300%. All right, so I give you an example. One piece of equipment which costs $40,000, the government paid $84,000 for that equipment. That is over 110%. And so we are now diligently looking through all the equipment. And you can imagine that the equipment for all the districts, there were, hundreds of pieces of equipment. So we are going through each one of them because we are looking at a criminal investigation. And in criminal law, charges must be specific. If you miss the element of specificity, your case will be thrown out. And that is why I keep urging Ghanaians to be patient, because we need diligent investigation so that when I send a case to court, we don't have any doubt that criminality has occurred. So, ladies and gentlemen, prosecutions have commenced in the SkyTrain and National Service scandals. In the case of the latter, we have filed charges against the former Chief Executive, Executive Director, Osei Sibe Ntwi, and his deputy, Gifty Oware. Charges are being prepared against the rest of the public officers and the so-called marketplace vendors. In all, we intend to file about 10 cases in the NSA scandal and will use some of the public officers and vendors as prosecution witnesses. Now, this is a strategy that is working very well for us, and we intend to continue to use that strategy. In a situation where there is a small criminal among big criminals, and the small criminal knows a lot, it is better as a matter of prosecutorial strategy to use a small criminal to get the information in order to be able to succeed, and that is what I'm doing. Also, I wish to announce that the Auditor General has conducted a forensic audit into the NSA, the National Service scandal, and the total amount of money stolen or illegally spent now stands at 2.2 billion, and not the 548 million that was uncovered by my investigators as at June 2025. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here a copy of the Auditor General's report. Again, painstaking investigation is very important in criminal matters. And so, based upon what the Auditor General has done, and this is a forensic audit, okay? Forensic audit means that they've gone beyond what ordinary, auditing would have done. And so, we are going to, based upon this, in some cases, change the charge, amend our charge sheets in order to bring fresh charges. Investigations are still ongoing in respect of the following matters: All African Games, mathematical sets, Bank of Ghana new building, stadia renovation, and National Cathedral. In the case of the National Cathedral, we have actually requested that the Auditor General should conduct another forensic audit, and he's being held by one of the big four accounting companies to be able to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the rumble in the jungle. The buffer stock investigation, which are nicknamed the rumble in the jungle, as at March 2020, when we announced the arrest and detention of suspects Kobna Idubohin and his wife Angela Ejie Boateng, the Economic and Organized Crime Office had gathered credible intelligence regarding a criminal enterprise that had been operated by the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited, Mr. Hanan Hanan Abdul Wahab. Initial estimates put the amount of money pilfered by Mr. Abdul Wahab and his collaborators at the time at around 58 million Ghana cedis, far in excess of the 49 million suspected to have been stolen by Mr. Edubohin and his co-accused persons. I call the criminal enterprise operated by Abdul Wahab and his collaborators at Buffer Stock the rumble in the jungle, not only because of the huge amount of money at stake, but because of the fact that while food suppliers were wailing and gnashing their teeth due to failure to pay them for supplies to the Buffer Stock, and while our school kids were being denied nutrition under the school feeding program for lack of funds, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his collaborators were busy lawlessly looting funds meant for the program. That is jungle behavior. The informal meaning of the word rumble is to discover illicit activity or the perpetrator of the illicit activity. Through painstaking investigations, the EOCO discovered this illicit criminal enterprise run by a gang of corrupt, lawless officials at the Buffer Stock Company. On June 25, 2025, the EOCO conducted a coordinated operation based upon their initial investigations, which resulted in the arrest of Mr. Abdul Wahab, former chief executive of Buffer Stock, his wife Faiza Seydou Wuni, and then James Atieku, the Buffer Stock manager for the northern sector, who was based in Tamale. The operation also led to the arrest of Emmanuel Atta, head of corporate affairs of NAFCO. The arrest followed initial intelligence and assessment by EOCO, who suggested that while serving as CEO of Buffer Stock between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab colluded with his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, Richard Sam, head of finance, Bismarck Ousu Boache, finance department, and Emmanuel Atta, corporate affairs manager, and others to create an elaborate criminal enterprise that was used to steal and launder public funds from the Buffer Stock Company. Within the period between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab, in concert with Richard Sam Asante and Bismarck Ousu Boache, orchestrated the transfer of 78,269,084 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos from the bank accounts of Buffer Stock Company to a private company linked to Hanan Abdul Wahab, his wife, and staff of Buffer Stock at Republic Bank and EcoBank. Evidence shows that the funds were instantly retransferred to companies owned by Abdul Wahab himself, and companies and entities owned and associated with him and his wife. Similarly, evidence shows that between 2017 and May 2029, Abdul Wahab, sorry, can I have? Let me take that again. Similarly, evidence shows that between December 2017 and May 2019, Hanan Abdul Wahab transferred 5,495,780 Ghana cedis and 36 pesos from Buffer Stock company accounts to 2 bank accounts belonging to Aludiba Enterprise, one of his companies at Republic Bank and ABSA. Aludiba Enterprise is not a registered supplier of Buffer Stock Company. Hanan Abdul Wahab, between 2019 to January 2022, also orchestrated some suppliers to transfer an amount of 11,998,830 Ghana cedis, 48 pesos, to an entity owned by a staff of Buffer Stock, and later instructed the staff to retransfer the funds to a company owned and run by himself and his wife. In July 2022, investigations found that Hanan Abdul Wahab transferred 251,050 cedis from Buffer Stock accounts to another bank account at Republic Bank belonging to Energy Partners, a company co-owned by Hanan Abdul Wahab and Emmanuel Atta, the head of corporate affairs of Buffer Stock Company. Energy Partners is not a service provider for Buffer Stock. The evidence gathered so far shows that they ran this criminal enterprise under the pretext of supplying food items to schools under the school feeding program. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 entities linked to Abdul Wahab and his wife were used as vehicles to receive and to launder the proceeds of crime from Buffer Stock Company. The money laundering took the form of property acquisitions across the country, including real estate and luxury goods using the same entities. The entities in question are as follows: Alkani Enterprise, Aludiba Enterprise, Energy Partners, Farhauser Ventures, Farhauser Company Limited, and Aludiba Foundation, and also, and more importantly, Sortina Enterprise, owned by a third party connected to the couple. So Sortina was owned by Atieku Apau, who was then the Northern Sector Manager of Buffer Stock. Bank documents obtained by EOCO revealed that within the period that the suspects operated this criminal enterprise, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his wife and their entities became the largest depositors at Republic Bank, and the branch was at Labone branch. Investigations established that in 2018, Sortina Enterprise, an entity owned by James Atieku Apau, applied to become a licensed supplier to the Buffer Stock Company. This application was approved by his boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab, knowing very well that the approval placed James Atieku Apau in a conflict of interest situation. Because he was the manager of Buffer Stock in the Northern Sector, he formed a company and became a supplier to Buffer Stock. So on account of that alone, I can succeed on a charge of using public office for profit. Documentary evidence from bank accounts of Buffer Stock revealed that between 2018 and 2024, Buffer Stock transferred a total of 78,369,082 cedis and 4 pesos to Sortina Enterprises bank account at EcoBank and Republic Bank, respectively. The payments were supposedly to pay for food supplies made by Sortina to schools under the school feeding program. Verified records, including way bills and store receipt vouchers from Buffer Stock, however, indicated that only 27,389,872 cedis out of the payments to Sortina were backed by supplies. There is no evidence whatsoever that the remaining 50,879,021 cedis and 4 pesos paid to the enterprise was backed by food supplies or any service rendered to Buffer Stock. A review of Sortina bank account revealed that the bulk of the payments which Buffer Stock made to Sortina Enterprises bank accounts, about 98% of the over 78 million, were instantly retransferred to Alkani Enterprise, Farhauser Ventures, and other entities owned and controlled by or affiliated to Hanan Abdul Wahab and Faiza Seidu Wuni, his wife. Under interrogation, Mr. Atieku Apau stated that although some of the funds received into Sortina's EcoBank and Republic Bank accounts were for the few genuine supplies backed by way bills and store receipt vouchers, in most instances, no supplies were made, but he noticed that Buffer Stock kept making payments to his company, Sortina Enterprise. He also admitted that other third-party companies, which our investigations have established to be licensed buying companies or suppliers to Buffer Stock, also made several payments into Sortina's account. He said he neither knew the promoters of these companies, nor did his company have any business dealing with them. He had no explanation as to why millions were transferred into his company's bank account, but observed that those payments, whether from Buffer Stock or from third parties, were made into Sortina's account on the instruction of his boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab. He further explained that whenever such payments were deposited in Sortina's account, he was prompted by Hanan Abdul Wahab to expect the transfer and was later instructed on where to move or retransfer the funds. In effect, Sortina became a conduit for Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife to steal Buffer Stock funds without easy detection. Transaction analysis of Sortina's Republic Bank account and entities used as vehicle to launder the proceeds of the criminal enterprise established by Hanan and his wife corroborated the claims made by Mr. James Atieko Apau. For example, a review of some of the retransfers of the funds paid to Sortina Enterprise by Buffer Stock Company revealed as follows. From Sortina Enterprise to Hanan Abdul Wahab, 60,179,137 Ghana cedis. Sortina Enterprise to Alkani, 23,913,964 Ghana cedis and 90 pesos. From Sortina Enterprise to Fahauza, 500,000 Ghana cedis. Sortina Enterprise to Chain Homes, 550,000, making a total of transfers that we've tracked, from across the bank accounts of 40,493,102 Ghana cedis and 15 pesos. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I've indicated, the proceeds of crime were used by the couple to acquire a lot of high-end luxury properties and, especially real estate across the country. Now, as is typical of all investigations conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, contemporaneous tracing of the proceeds of crime has been undertaken, and we can confirm that the couple purchased a number of high-end real estate properties from their ill-gotten wealth. The properties are as follows. 1, a 5-bedroom house bought from Chain Homes Limited between February 2019 and December 2020 at a cost of $1,625,000. Of this amount, $5,758,165 Ghana cedis, that is the equivalent of 230,841 United States of American dollars, was paid directly from the accounts of the investigated entities. The balance was paid in cash to Chain Homes by the couple. Now, in criminal investigations, when large cash sums are being used to pay, that is prima facie evidence of money laundering. In July 2020, the couple purchased a 3-bedroom house at Cantonments from Golden Coast Developers Limited at a cost of 600,000 United States of American dollars, using two of their companies, Fahauza Ventures, owned by the wife, and Fahauza Company Limited, owned jointly by the couple. The land documents were, however, registered in the name of their wife. Between October 2019 and February 2021, the couple purchased plots at Fanali's airport development site for 750,000 United States of American dollars. The total payments were made in cash in the name of Faiza Seydou Wuni. We have the cash, receipts from the developer. Subsequently, in July 2021, Faiza Seydou Wuni signed a contract with a construction company, Mendeha and Souza Construction Limited, at a cost of 691,650 United States of American dollars to construct the shell and the core of the building. This excludes the cost of architectural designs from Ansara Architecture Pty Limited, based in South Africa. The building sitting on Trade Plus is now estimated to be valued at $2,500,000 United States of American dollars. The couple also purchased 0.32 acres of government land from one Anthony Duke Essien, a known government land sales agent named in both the demolition of the Nigerian High Commission and the sale and demolition of the Bulgarian consulate. Duke Essien used his sister, Antoinette Chibodaku, a staff of the Dankwa Institute, as a front to purchase from the Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Lands and the Lands Commission at a price of 307,200 Ghana cedis. Duke Essien then instantly sold the land to Hanan Abdul Wahab and received about 2,567,000 Ghana cedis. The payment came from the criminal proceeds from Buffer Stock through Sortina Enterprise and through Alkani and Hanan himself to Anthony Duke Essien. On the instruction of his brother, Duguesclin, Antoinette then wrote to the Lands Commission in March 2020 to instruct them that the lease should be in the name of Hanan Abdul Wahab. In May 2020, she made a U-turn and wrote to the Lands Commission to withdraw the documents bearing the name of Hanan Abdul Wahab and now replaced it with the name of the wife, Faiza Seidu Wuni. The couple developed 4 units of 4-bedroom apartments on the said land. The property is yet to be valued by our investigators. Now, ladies and gentlemen, other properties acquired by the couple are as follows. A 17-bedroom boutique hotel at Gumani in Tamale, in respect of which the couple used Fahauza Company Limited to sign a franchise with Villa Monticello for the price of $250,000. In other words, $250,000. So they wanted Villa Monticello to run it as if it is a Villa Monticello hotel. So they paid $250,000 to Villa Monticello, in order to hide the identity of the hotel. But we've been able to dig in, and we've gotten all the evidence, including all the receipts from Villa Monticello. There is a 4-bedroom bungalow situated at Jolo, Accra, valued at 4.1 million cedis. 3-story building, that is Chicken Republic, the Chicken Republic building in Tamale, situated at Estate Junction, Tamale. 5-bedroom mansion at Canville, Dorado Street, Tamale. 3-bedroom house, Palissy, Tamale. 1-story building, number 10 Selby Gardens, Achimota, Accra. Then a 0.27 acre plot of land, Estate Junction, Tamale. 0.29 acre of land, close to Workers College, Tamale. We have also frozen all these assets and will be taking steps to have them confiscated to the state in the course of the criminal proceedings. We have no doubt in our minds that these properties were bought from the proceeds of crime. When interrogated, Faiza Wuni, the wife of Hanan, said she was a housewife being paid 5,000 Ghana cedis a month by the husband. So that is the legitimate income that we know. We have also taken note of the legitimate earnings of Hanan Abdul Wahab when he was appointed. His initial salary from 2017 was 14,000 Ghana cedis, a little above 14,000 Ghana cedis. He exited buffer stock in December 2024 with a salary of 28,000 per month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do your mathematics. All right? And there are no other sources of legitimate earnings apart from these that I have named. Do your mathematics and tell me, in good faith, whether a couple earning this amount of money can buy a house costing 1.6 million United States of American dollars at Chain Homes. That is the question, not for the gods, but for us as citizens to be able to answer, and answer very well through the accountability process. And that is why I keep saying that it is important that we we do painstaking investigations. Because without the painstaking investigations that were done quietly, we started this in February. In February 2025, this investigation started in February 2025. And it is now that we have the results. As I have also told you, the oral reports are still coming into my office. Now, those who are pushing me to go to court and who are saying that by now convictions should have been obtained are being, I know you are Ghanaians, you have legitimate expectations of your government officials, including the president and the attorney general. But we need to do a good job. Accountability costs resources. Accountability, takes time. And so it is important that Ghanaians are patient so that we have the kind of results that I'm announcing today. Not that I will rush to court. Defense lawyers will come and raise objections, throw my case out, and then the same Ghanaians who wanted me to go to court expeditiously will now turn around and say that Ayine is an incompetent attorney general. I was never an incompetent lawyer in private practice. I don't want to be an incompetent lawyer in public service. So I want us to take our time to do the kind of work that I'm announcing today. And I want to also let you know that I'm under no pressure from any quarters to cut any deals. Mr. President, who is my boss, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, when I brief him, he gives me his blessing. He doesn't even express an opinion one way or the other. He says, Dominic, I've heard you. All right? The Chief of Staff has never put pressure on me to cut a deal with anybody. The Secretary to the President, Dr. Kalisus Mahama, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, he encourages me. He says the work is stressful, but I should keep on. The Legal Counsel to the President, my former boss, has never put pressure on me to cut any deal. Offers have been made, and I have turned all of them down. I have told everybody, please go to the court. If you want a plea deal, I'm filing cases. In the Wontumi case, offers were made to us for a plea deal. I said, no, I'm filing charges. If you want, announce your intention for a plea deal to the judge. That is now my strategy. The MPP took advantage of my saying that I'm open to to having plea deals to say, okay, that I was busy cutting deals in the office. No deal has been cut, and no deal will be cut except under the auspices of the court of competent jurisdiction. That is what I have decided, and that is what we are going to do, going forward. Lastly, we have frozen all the assets of Anan that I have listed, including a 10 million Ghana cedis fixed deposit account at Republic Bank, Labone branch. That is the liquid assets. They also, had a lot of bags. I didn't want to list them. The wife has over 61 luxury bags. All right, name them. He himself was buying watches, some costing as much as 1.5 million Ghana cedis and so on. We have taken note of all of them, and so we've done the freezing, including those of the vehicles. So on account of the foregoing, we have decided to charge Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, with stealing, conspiracy to steal, causing financial loss to the state, using public office for profit, obtaining public property by false statements, and money laundering. The charges will be filed on Friday, and I have the charge sheet, the draft charge sheet, which I am reviewing here for everybody to see, so that nobody goes to say that I have indicted somebody and I don't have charges. I have my charges ready. From now onwards, when we are announcing the conclusion of investigations, we are either contemporaneously filing charges or we are filing them immediately thereafter. Okay, so this is what I have for you today. I hope that Ghanaians will bear with us to do an excellent job for this republic. The oral will work. Forget about those who are paying bloggers to blog that oral is failing. Oral is on course and will work for the good of the people of this country. We will exact accountability to the extent justifiable by law. As I said, I will not do anything outside the law for political expediency reasons. I won't. So thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General, for that concise but fact-laden presentation. I know that there are important questions lingering on the minds of media persons present. So at this juncture, I would invite you to come to the microphone with any questions that you may have in order that the Attorney General answers them to clear all doubts. As is the rubric here, because of time, you are limited to one question each. And please avoid lengthy preambles so we can maximize the time left. Thank you very much. Identify yourself, your media organization, and shoot.
Okay, Minister, my name is Abdul Hanan Adam. Please, some of my colleagues, yes, please.
You are not the Hanan in question.
I'm begging you. Yes, some of my colleagues, especially Marshal Agbagba.
I'm pointing fingers at you.
Please, please. My name is Abdul Hanan Adam. Yes.
All right.
Minister, I want to find out the case of the former finance minister is one that has come up, especially this week. And the OSP has also issued a statement to that effect after your deputy granted interviews to that effect. What is the current state of that issue, and when should we expect you to officially put in a formal request for the former finance minister to be extradited to Ghana to face prosecution? And secondly, with the My Name 6 case, if you say you have formally charged him and some of the properties have been confiscated, what do you intend, sorry, you've frozen it, sorry. What do you intend to do with these properties? Do you intend to sell it off or to put it under the care of the state? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, please? Please, all those with questions should move towards the microphone. Okay, I would invite the Attorney General to answer the question that was just asked, even as other journalists prepare to ask questions. Please. Yeah,
all right. Yeah. With respect to so Hanan, if we are looking for one Hanan and we don't get him, we may come for another Hanan. So, two questions. One is in respect of the former finance minister. There has been a lot of talk on both mainstream and social media regarding what is happening. All right. In a nutshell, the processes have begun for the request to be made. The point is that the request to be made to the American authorities. When doing extradition, you cannot make a request unless you have a solid case, a docket that has been built. And in the case of the Americans, the practice is for you to have filed charges. And so, for instance, when Kofi Boateng, when we extradited Kofi Boateng, Kojo Boateng, to the U.S. on the request of the Justice Department of the United States, the Justice Department actually sent me what they call the bail of indictment. All right, that's the charge. Those are the charges. They sent me the charges, the supporting facts, and everything. And ladies and gentlemen, they spent 6 years investigating the syndicate of criminals that included, Kojo Boateng. 6 years. All right. So the point that we have made, that my deputy made, is that without a docket, we cannot make the request. So we are still waiting for the docket. That is all I can say for now. I have read everything that has been said by the OSP and his office. I respect his office. I respect the autonomy of the office and so on. Okay, but we in the Attorney General's Department cannot begin an extradition request with a bare letter. We need the evidence to be able to do so. That's all I can say. So the formal processes have started. Then, what do we wish to do with the properties? Well, when they are handed over to the state, the appropriate authorities will know what to do with them. Okay, so for instance, in respect of the real estate, it will be the Ministry of Works and Housing that will take proper custody of them and then be able to determine to what use they will be put by the Republic. If it is also the case that we should auction them and then put the money into the consolidated account, that decision will be taken by Cabinet, and then we will continue from there. All right? But it's as Mandela said, it's a long road a long walk to freedom. All right? This is a long haul because no criminal that has been indicted will, stand idle when you are doing confiscation proceedings. So definitely, and the people we are talking about, they have a lot of cash. If it is not in the bank, it is somewhere, and they'll hire some of the best legal minds to come and meet me in court. So we will be fighting, the battle on behalf of the people of this country. Are there any other questions?
If there are any other questions, we will invite them at this juncture. Otherwise, we call it a day. Please step up. Yes.
My name is Julius. I report for the Ghanaian Times. Mr. Minister, throughout the presentation, you keep calling on Ghanaians to be patient with you as you, in your words, painstakingly do some due diligence before you proceed to court. How do you feel when people say prosecutions are delaying? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hanan.
Okay, Minister Hanan is back again. Minister, I also want to find out, you just announced that Hanan and his wife have been formally charged. I want to find out from you, the list of oral cases that you've mentioned, have they also been charged or yet to be charged? Thank you.
I think he provided the answer in the brief, but for your benefit and those who may not have heard him, he will reiterate that point. Yes, Max, you can come to the microphone here.
Okay, Maxwell Ababa, Joy FM, Joy News. Okay, from the briefing, it appears that the real estate companies, some way, somehow, I know a minister raised this issue once, a former minister raised this issue once and became very controversial, so I want to tread cautiously, that the real estate companies are being used, it appears, are being used to launder, money, especially public funds. I want to find out from the AG if he has any plans to tighten, regulations, especially regarding purchases when it comes to real estate businesses and then, state officials and all of that. The second question is on the National Cathedral. I remember sometime in July, 3 months ago, the AG was tasked by the president to take legitimate and legal steps to terminate the National Cathedral contract, and then also take legal steps to dissolve the Board of Trustees. I want to find out from the AG what the update is regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Yeah, Kester.
My name is Kester Crunchy. I write for the Daily Graphic. My first question is regards the setting up of the special courts to prosecute galamseyers and people who steal money from the government. I wanted to know from the Auditor General, the Attorney General, the relationship he has with the Auditor General now. What kind of collaboration is he having with the Auditor General? Because over the past few weeks, he's made a lot of revelations about how much money he is charging people and the collaboration he needs from the Auditor General.
I think he will also take advantage to brief you on the outcome of the meetings.
Yes, exactly, with the President. Yes.
Monday, with the President on the matter, yeah.
The second one is with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I know he has spoken about it, but today the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the Special Prosecutor himself said he's collaborating with your office. But that was not the indication we had when your deputy spoke to the media. It looked like they had made some requests and it was not forthcoming. Okay. So I wanted to know from you what kind of relationship is between your office and then the Office of the Special Prosecutor and then the Office of the Attorney General, because both of them need some collaboration with you to execute their mandate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take a final question if there's any. Otherwise, the Attorney General will answer this batch of questions and we'll call it a day. Mr. Attorney General, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions. The question of how I feel when people say, the oral cases are delaying, I feel frustrated because the work of prosecution is not done by the Attorney General alone. The Attorney General depends on investigators for the raw material to be able to prosecute. So today's announcement of the Rumble in the Jungle is from investigations over the last 8 months. Excellent work done by Mr. Raymond Acha of the Economic and Organized Crime Office and his team. And I want to thank them very much for the wonderful work that they are doing. The oral investigations, also excellent work, is being done by the National Intelligence Bureau as for them, we don't mention their names. And they are the ones in charge of the 34 instances or cases that were implicated in the oral committee report. And they are also doing excellent work. You can see from the charges we filed in national service cases that they did an excellent job. You can also see from my briefing on the DRIP case that they are doing an excellent job. So the point is that I have to wait patiently for all these entities to do their work and do the work very well, including, of course, the Financial Intelligence Center. And again, I want to extend, thanks to my junior brother, Kojo Chumbuafo. As for him, I can mention his name. He has been very, very, very critical when we talk about all these bank statements and analysis of bank data. Without him, we can't obtain them. Okay? So there are times that I call him at 2 a.m. because I'm reading an oral report and there's the need to fill in information about bank records, and I call him and say, in the morning, can I get this when you get to the office? And within 2 hours, he'll go and threaten bank managers and get the information for me. All right? So I will zoom into the next question, which is, when. I already said that the dockets, some have started, dockets have been built in others. When the docket comes, we will advise whether there is a prosecutable case. If there is no prosecutable case, and there will be instances where the investigators will differ from the complaints in the oral report, okay, because they have investigated and come to the conclusion that there are no acts of criminality. If that is the case, we'll just advise that the docket be closed, all right? Otherwise, we'll proceed to investigation. Then the question about real, estate companies and money laundering. That's an excellent one. I remember you said, a certain minister said it. It's the Honorable Sam George who spoke about it, some time ago, about a link between money laundering and real estate, development. Now look at the skyline of Accra. All right? Look at the skyline. It's changing rapidly. So my junior brother Kojo Chumbuafo and I are, collaborating to do something about it. It's not that we don't want the skyline to change. I want that when I'm flying in from anywhere, the skyline of Accra should look like the skyline of New York City. But it must be done with legitimate money. It must be done by hardworking real estate developers who have decided that they want to change the skyline and make business and make profit. So Kojo Chumbuafo's FIC and I will be collaborating on that aspect of the problem. Then the National Cathedral Contract Termination and Board of Trustees. I've just announced that the Auditor General has asked one of the big four to do a forensic audit on National Cathedral. The audit, we gave them 8 weeks. I think we've done about 5 weeks now. So maybe in 3 weeks. And you, the journalist, when I say maybe in 3 weeks, next time I'm here, you said Cathedral in 3 weeks you'll get the reason. You have it, you don't have it. No. They may ask for an extension. Okay? So maybe in 3 weeks we'll get a forensic audit report. It is at that point in time that I will decide, how to terminate. Okay? Because in every contract, there is a basis for termination. And that depends on the facts and the evidence. You cannot just terminate, a contract without a basis. I don't want any situation. The fact that we are investigating a crime doesn't mean that the companies involved did not do legitimate work. Somebody dug the hole and had to be paid to dig the hole. Okay? And if they were not overpaid, or, they were paid and then they decided to give money as kickback to somebody. If I find a kickback situation, that is a crime. But otherwise, they are entitled to their money. Okay, so we will look at the findings of the forensic report before we do the termination of the contract. As for the Board of Trustees, the dissolution of the Board of Trustees, we are taking steps, to ensure that that happens. Now, the next question, so Maxwell, I hope I've answered your questions very well. Now, the relationship between the Attorney General's office and that of the Auditor General, we work excellently together. Okay, and as the Minister for Government Communications indicated earlier, our collaboration is continuing, especially in respect to the Auditor General's report, the annual report submitted to Parliament. The President is serious that we should take that aspect of the work, and then make sure that those who are found to have engaged in infractions are punished. And so, Mr. President met with us, not only myself and the Auditor General, but also the Chief Justice of the Republic and his team. And the idea is for us to set up special courts that are designated and given the mandate to deal exclusively with matters raised in the Auditor General's report that border on criminality. And we are going to take a two-pronged approach. Okay, one approach is criminal prosecution. The other is the exercise of the power of disallowance and surcharge under Article 187 of the Constitution. That power is granted to the Auditor General. The Auditor General can disallow an expenditure on the basis that the expenditure is illegal, unlawful, or or criminal, and then where it is criminal, refer the matter to me, or where it is simply a matter of civil law, impose a surcharge, disallow the expenditure, and impose a surcharge. So we are going to adopt the two approaches and then make sure that we succeed in making the Auditor General report meaningful to Ghanaians. Then OSP says he is collaborating with my office. That is true. You've seen the exchanges. Yes, we are collaborating. All right. Maybe the pace of collaboration is not something that I have, that I am happy about. And I don't think that Ghanaians are also happy about the pace at which we are collaborating. All right. But yes, the office of the Special Prosecutor and my office are collaborating. I thank you all, and God bless all of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General. And thank you very much, members of the media, for attending upon us once again. We will continue to bring you reports on the performance of governments in various sectors. And we trust that the collaboration that exists, which we are very happy about, incidentally, will continue to flourish so that collectively we can keep the people of Ghana informed. So until we meet next time, have a good day. Thank you very much.